let's move on to the individual predictions, and we're going to go for player of the season, and we've gone for the same guy, Cuti Romero. And he probably should have won it last year, let's be honest. I think he was brilliant from start to finish. He's come back. He's looked brilliant in the 45 minutes that he's played. He's going to be completely central to that back line, the leader at the back. And yeah, I think it's going to be Romero.
Yeah, and I think as well, he's hopefully with the back line's more settled going into the season. He's coming into it in really confident mood, having won that Copa America in the summer. So I think he's coming into this season with a sense of authority. I think you've got to look at a lot of his performances last season, especially at the beginning. He was stellar, and I think you look at his form in the Copa. I think he was probably the best defender in the Copa. I think he was didn't really get any yellow cards, wasn't giving away any fouls. In that kind of form, he's going to shine, and he's so consistent. He's so important to how he play, and he's a vice captain. So I've gone for Romero to be our most consistent player and get Player of the Year.
Young player of the season. Again, we've gone for the exact same player in Lucas Bergvall. And when you've seen what he's been doing in pre-season, it's hard not to pick him, to be honest. He's been brilliant, creative. He's got that aggression to him. No one seems to be kind of, being able to stand up to him. He's really aggressive for someone of 18 to be that physical against like Bayern Munich regular seniors. I think it's really impressive. And I got a feeling that once he breaks into the team, it'll be so hard to drop him.
Yeah, and if he continues in the way of pre-season, I think he's going to make a real impact, and he's going to find his way into the 11, and he's going to find opportunities to start games and impacting the team. And I've been so impressed with what I've seen, not just on the ball, which he looks silky, creative, and looks like he's got moments of magic, but off the ball, really impressive. His physicality, his ability to compete with more senior players, his confidence he does to pinch the ball off really experienced players and use his physicality in that way. So that convinces me he could have a real impact this season. So I've gone for him as my Young Player of the Year.
Next up is surprise package of the season. So what player do we think is going to surprise us the most this season? Sim has gone for Rodrigo Bentancur.
Yeah, and I think people are sleeping on him a bit. People have forgotten how good he can be. And I feel like when people talk about our centre midfield problems, they forget, before his injury and before he had those problems with the injury, he was so impressive and one of the best centre mids in the league. And I think last year, he's really struggled to get back into full fitness. He had that big injury, and I think people have forgotten how good he can be. And I think he's going to remind a few people this season. There are signs of him getting back to his best in the Copa. He had a really strong showing for 45 minutes in the friendly against Bayern, and I think there are signs of him getting back to his best. And if he can get back to his best, he can solve a lot of problems for us. So I've gone for Bentancur.
Yeah, I've gone for young old Mikey Moore. I've gone for Mikey Moore, and I think that he's going to be a standout in the Cups and the Europa League when he gets his minutes. And I feel like towards the back end, maybe later on the season from February onwards, I think he's going to play his way into the team a little bit, and I think he's going to show his quality. At the age of 17, 16 during pre-season, I feel like he's probably going to do more than any other 16 or 17-year-old ever have done for Spurs. So I think that's a surprise package for me in Mikey Moore. Most improved player. So this was a toss-up. I couldn't think between the two players that actually have been mentioned here, but let's go and have a look. Sim has gone for Decky. I've gone for Rodrigo Bentancur in this one. I feel like when you've seen pre-season, Kulusevski has definitely been the most improved, has shown the most improvement so far. But basically, for all the reasons that you say about Rodrigo Bentancur for surprise package was my thinking in terms of being the most improved player. He had a horrible season through injury last year. Once he came back, he looked incredible, and then got an injury straight away from Matty Cash. And I feel like what you've seen from him in pre-season, in those 45 minutes that he has played, what you saw from him in the Copa for Uruguay, I feel like he's going to be a really important player for us this season. So I've gone for Rodrigo.
Yeah, I think Decky's change of position is really going to help him. I think, obviously, if you remember, in the first 10 games of last season, he was actually playing on the right for all those games and did really well. But I think once, he got maybe found out a bit, or the opposition defenders got a bit used to him on that side. He started to struggle, and I'm really liking the look of him in this central area. I think he's going to get him closer to players, which he likes. He likes to make quick interchanges, and I also hopefully it gets him closer to goal, and he starts getting more goals. And he's got such a good shot as well, which he's shown in pre-season. There was some of the goals he scored. He's got really good instincts. So I think Decky playing in those central areas is going to improve a lot, and I've gone for him to be our most improved player.
All right, now we get onto the biggest flop. Who we think the biggest flop is going to be next season. Let's go and reveal them. Sim has gone for Turbo Timo Werner to be the biggest flop.
Yeah, it was a really tough decision. I was looking at the squad, and I'm actually I think it's a testament, to be fair, to the squad that we have. That I'm looking at the squad, and I'm really struggling to pick who I think will really struggle in the role that they're given. And I actually don't think Werner necessarily will struggle, but I had to pick someone. And I think when I'm looking at the wing position, I can see him getting a few assists, but will he justify his position in the squad with his output? I'm not convinced. I think maybe he could at the end of the season we might be sitting here with look, I think he has to get probably between 10 and 15 goal contributions to justify his position in the squad. Will he get that? I think the jury's out at the moment. I think pre-season he's flattered to deceive. I think he had a good start to his Spurs career, but at the back end of last season, I know he was injured for a bit, but he didn't play too well when he was called upon. So, I mean, this might be harsh. I like Timo. I hope I'm wrong. But I've gone for him to be the biggest flop.
Yeah, I think anyone that we would have picked would have been harsh, because I was similar to you. I was looking through the squad and I couldn't really pick someone. And with Timo, I actually feel like Timo could get a lot of assists this season. A lot. With the way we like to play, with his runs down the wing and his low-driven crosses for Solanke in the middle, I feel like he can get quite a few assists when he is on the pitch. It's the question of how often is he going to start in the Premier League for us. I don't think that often, but he will get starts in the Europa League and FA Cup and Carabao Cup. I went for Yves Bissouma. I think that he had a poor season last year, barring the opening 10 games. I think him and Maddison definitely flattered to deceive last season, so I think you can probably say they had somewhat of a flop of a season, both of them, especially compared to the way they started it. And I feel like after this season, Ange is probably going to realise that we need a monster six to come in, and I think we'll get that next summer. I think this is probably going to be Bissouma's last year at the club, in my opinion. And I feel like, that's going to be the feeling. We need better than Bissouma. So he's going to be my flop of the season.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. I know that when he's on form, we know how good he can be. I actually think in pre-season he's been pretty good. But, he's had a few incidences, outside of football. And he also is lacking consistency as well. Did struggle a bit in the last game against Bayern. So maybe, but we'll have to wait and see.
The problem for me with Bissouma, he can have even in his bad run from after the first 10 games, he did have some good performances sprinkled in there. But there's been, in terms of since he's joined Spurs, there's been no sort of consistency apart from the early part of last season at all in the past 2 years. And you got to say, when we signed him to what we thought he was going to be, he hasn't lived up to that reputation. For 2 years he's been here now, so he needs to massively improve, particularly on a consistent basis. Massively.
I think he just needs consistency. That's the main thing.
Let's go for best signing of the season. So we've got to pick between Archie Gray and Lewis Solanke. So we've both gone for Dominic Solanke or Timo Werner.
Yeah, we have gone for Solanke. I've gone for Solanke. Yeah, we both have. But I just think he's the perfect fit for the team. I just looking at some of the strikers available and who could really fulfill the purpose that we're looking for. And I think he is going to be a top signing. I think he's really going to fit in. I think he's got really good mentality as well, which will really benefit how he gels with the squad. And I just think the type of striker and the profile he is absolutely perfect. So, yeah, I think no-brainer.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited to see what he brings to the team. Well, I kind of know what he's going to bring to the team, but I'm excited to see it in front of my very own eyes. And I think it's going to be a really good signing. And he's going to score. I reckon he gets 20 goals. I really do. And if he gets that, that's an unbelievable season. When's the last time? Well, it was Kane, 2 years ago, that we had 20 plus goals from a striker.
It's only one season.
Yeah, it feels like a lot longer. It feels like a lot longer.
We weren't even that far off. Yeah, like last season, was Sonny got 17.
Yeah, that's true. Top goal scorer, it's kind of obvious. We've both gone for Dominic Solanke. If I would say to you, make a prediction of exactly how many goals, I would say I'm going to say 23 next season.
All comps or just Prem?
Prem,
I'm going to say 24.
24. One better. You had to go one better. And then the top assister, we've both gone for the same guy as well in Son Heung-min. I think Solanke is going to absolutely love Sonny by the end of this season. I think he's going to lay so many on a plate for him. And he is our top assister in Premier League history, and I'm backing him to add to those tallies by some distance this season.
Yeah, and why I think Son, obviously top assister, moving back to the left, he's going to be in a lot of situations to either go to the byline, and because he's so two-footed, he can, I think, whip that ball across the face of goal, and I think he'll get assists that way. But I also think when he cuts inside, unlike Werner, who I don't really trust to cross when he was whipping it in on the inside. I think Sonny is very accurate with those instep crosses there, and he gets a lot of whip on them. So I think Sonny will be getting a lot of assists. Also, he'll probably take some free kicks, crossing it in, some corners. So I do think the occasional set-piece assist he'll get as well. Counter-attacking assists he'll get as well. So I think he was our top assister last season, and I'm going for him to do it again.
All right, so there you have it. So let's just a quick recap of our predictions. A player of the season, we've both gone for Romero. Young player of the season, we've both gone for Lucas Bergvall. Surprise package, Sim's gone for Bentancur. I went for Mikey Moore. Most improved, Sim's gone for Decky. I've gone for Bentancur. Biggest flop, Sim's gone for Werner. I've gone for Bissouma. Best siding and top goal scorer, we've both picked Solanke. And top assister, we've both picked Son Heung-min. It's just absolutely madness. It's absolutely madness. Every single year we do these kind of things, and every single year we have so many of the same predictions. Yeah. How does this work out every single year?
Just we're brothers, I guess.
Every year, it just doesn't make sense.
Well, I mean, it doesn't take a genius to say Solanke's going to be top goal scorer.
Yeah, but you could have picked Van de Ven, you could have picked Son, you could have picked Solanke, you could have picked anyone, or we both picked Romero as player of the season. You could have picked Archie Gray, you could have picked many other young players that we've got coming through at the moment. We both picked Lucas Bergvall. You've picked Bentancur's surprise package. I picked him as most improved, which is like not too dissimilar either. It is a bit mad.
Well, let the chat decide why that happens.
Yeah, well, let us know in the comment section below. But that is our predictions for regarding Tottenham for the upcoming season.